third were trying to give us visa, but we were hoping that we will get visa, but fortunately we couldn't get our visa.
It has come to our notice that stapled visas were issued to some of our citizens representing the country in an international sporting event in China. This is unacceptable, and we have lodged our strong protest with the Chinese side, reiterating our consistent position on the matter. And India reserves the right to suitably respond to such actions.
Monsoons have wreaked havoc across the country. Let's get you the status of what's happening across the country. Let's begin with Delhi, where parts of the national capital region, including Noida, experienced light to moderate rainfall today. Delhi's ITO Road yet again faced waterlogging because of this heavy downpour. ITO Road is the one place in Delhi that has been hugely impacted with waterlogging this entire season. Incessant rainfall from previous night has created waterlogging situation in Gujarat's Navsari. Remember, earlier Navsari district collector had declared a holiday in the city in the light of the situation. After heavy rains lashed the parts of the state, a rise in water levels of Sinhan and Ghee dams of Dwarka have been observed. Amid incessant downpour in several parts of Assam, a rise in water level of Brahmaputra river has been observed. Following heavy rains, water entered several houses in Guwahati as well. The state government had earlier directed all districts to be on high alert. Flood-like situation has been reported in Thane city in Maharashtra amid incessant rains. Condition in Thane continues to be critical as water level of various lakes and reservoirs have risen. Earlier, the Indian Meteorological Department had issued a yellow alert for both Thane and Mumbai in light of the situation. With that, it's a wrap from my side here on this edition of Nation at 5. Viewpoint up next, coming up with Griha.
Good evening and a warm welcome. I'm Griha and you're watching Viewpoint. Let's begin this broadcast this evening by telling you a story. Two, in fact, from two different parts of the country. One from Manipur, where three women were stripped to their bones and paraded naked by a mob, one of them even gang raped. And the second one from Udupi in Karnataka, where three girls from a paramedical college are accused and caught while filming a fellow female student in a washroom corridor. Where do you think the police and the National Commission for Women reached in no time? A reasonable guess would have said the former, but it was like we all know by now, not Manipur, but the Udupi college. A video row where the video in question is now deleted from the records. The cyber cell of the police ensures no circulation whatsoever has been done. No complaints have come in as the victims didn't want to press the charges. And the police still had to rather register a suo motu FIR because of the protests and conspiracy theories being floated on social media. Is all this outrage now spilling onto the grounds with the right wing and the BJP groups protesting, many even revealing the identities of the three accused girls and the claims without evidences being made of similar instances in the past? Is all this not going to be impacting the investigation, we are asking? Or is this a mere hogwash by communalizing a college instance that has come after a realization that the perpetrators are from the minority community? Let's delve deeper into this Udupi furor.
We don't have trust in Sitaramaya government because they are acting, they are in favor of jihadis. That was, we need a safety in future.
Let me first bring in my colleague Akshara on the broadcast to understand where does the situation really stand as far as the Udupi Paramedical College video expose is concerned. Akshara, we do understand that there is a suo motu FIR that's been registered against the three accused girls and also the college authorities. What is the police really doing further on that FIR? And also, when it is about the BJP protests, which way is it headed?
Well, you see, the three girls had filed for an anticipatory bail, and the District Session Court heard their bail request and provided them a bail today to all the three girl students. And the investigation is still going on. Both the three girls are both, as well as the college authorities for not furnishing the details earlier in the time. And following which, we also had the NCW member, Krishna Sundar, who also visited the Udupi district. She spoke to the college authorities, the three girls involved. She has also sought information regarding this. And following which, she also gave a statement that the information that was spread out on social media, that these videos were uploaded on social media or forwarded in WhatsApp community groups were all false and not fall prey to these rumor mongering. So that's the statement given out by Krishna Sundar. But she'll also be discussing this case with the NCW members, and they'll go forward and take a decision regarding this. The SP has already given out a statement that it was a fun prank. That's what the SP has to say regarding this. But once again, BJP has upped ante against the Congress, and it has taken a political turn where the BJP is accusing Congress of appeasing the minorities pertaining this matter, and they are shielding these three individuals because they belong to a minority community. That's what the BJP is saying, and they're staging protests. And also, we're getting to learn that they're staging a mega protest in Bengaluru as well on August 1st. So where all the leaders will also join the protest. So that's the word coming in, but it is yet to be officially confirmed.
Okay.
Yes, BJP is still continuing to protest here.
Also, Akshara, we are given to understand that 15 of the BJP Yuva Morcha workers, there were FIRs against them. There was a woman worker of the BJP where an FIR against her was also lodged after a tweet that was sort of speaking about Siddaramaia's family. And she was also later arrested. When we take into account all of this that's coming to light from Karnataka and the protests that you say are planned in the month of August by senior BJP personnel, what are they really saying about these arrests? And I also would like to understand what are they saying to, how are they responding to the allegation that right after the Home Minister, Mr. G. Parameshwara, had asked for a review in the 2020 Bengaluru riots case is when this matter was escalated?
Well, you see, these two FIRs were filed in two different cases. First, the Yuva Morcha members, the 15 members, tried to get a Home Minister's residence, and they staged a protest there which were not allowed to do. And for their attempt to get a Home Minister's residence, the FIR was lodged against these 15 members of the Yuva Morcha. And in the separate second case where the BJP member identified as Shakuntala HS, she was arrested for a tweet against Siddaramaia's family, where she went on to tweet that if Siddaramaia's daughter-in-law or even if Siddaramaia's wife were to be filmed this way, where the other girls were filmed in Udupi, would he still go on to call it a fun prank? So that's what the tweet that was posted by Shakuntala HS, the BJP worker, and she was arrested. Now she's out on station bail. And keeping all this in mind, the BJP planned the Congress government stating that high-handedness at place.
Okay.
There's no place for people to protest, the BJP to protest. So that's the word coming in from the BJP regarding this whole matter. But still, they will stage a protest, in the mega protest which they're planning to hold here in Karnataka. That's the word coming in from the BJP regarding this protest and how they'll take it forward regarding this.
Okay. Akshara, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. Let me now open this up to my guests who join us on the broadcast on Viewpoint this evening. Prashant GS of the Karnataka BJP is with us. Also with us is Bhavya Narasimha Murthy of the Karnataka Congress. Also joining us is Rashmi Samant, the activist who in fact flagged this entire incident on social media. Rashmi, I'll begin with you. You know, in your social media post, you go on to say that there are informations that are there about hundreds of such girls who have been filmed or have been a prey to similar instances. Have you given information to the police about these girls that you're talking about?
Well, numerous girls have now come forward and said that, the similar incident has happened 6 months ago and has been happening for over a period of year ago as well. So the girls have come forward. They have told that this matter has been, brushed under the carpet repeatedly. So there is proof to suggest that there are more girls and it might be bigger than we even think.
No, girls have come forward where?
In the college girls have come forward. There are interviews all over the internet of them speaking in Kannada. The girls of Netra Jyoti College, they've come forward.
In Kannada, you say. You also had put out an article of a Kannada newspaper on Twitter where you'd claim that this is where the instances of all of these girls have really come to light through this article, and I'm suggesting this is what has happened. But this article, when we got it translated, it only speaks about the 3 girls who have been accused of filming their college mate in the paramedical college, and this is only speaking about the recent instance. No past instance has been spoken about. Then how are you making
Well,
these
the
claims?
girls have themselves come forward, and I think you cannot refute the girls of the college coming forward and alleging that similar
No,
incidents
absolutely not. But I'm just asking you about the evidences that you have
and I
for
think that is
making these
proof
claims.
enough. That is proof enough that this is happening, and it is definitely proof enough that this has been happening for a really long time, and that there needs to be a wider investigation. And instead of questioning the people who are trying to bring awareness in this factor, the matter has to be investigated. It took
Oh, absolutely. And you know,
decades-
Rashmi, I really am all supportive
It
of
took
the argument
really-
that you are making. But I'm just wanting to understand, where are these women? Because you are saying there are many girls that have who have come up. The police, in fact, had to actually go ahead and say.
I can send you a link of their interview. The students at Netrajyoti College coming forward and alleging that for the past year this has been happening, and that the matter has been repeatedly brushed under the carpet. I'll be very happy to furnish you with a link of the same. It can also be found on my timeline.
That's exactly what
Twitter
I'm quoting
timeline for
from.
everybody who wants to see it.
Rashmi, that's
So that
exactly what I'm quoting from. The link that you've posted only speaks about the recent instance where the 3
the
girls.
video, please look into the video. Please look into the video where they're speaking. I have put in the video, and the video clearly says, the girls are clearly saying, ಹಿಂದಿನ 6 ತಿಂಗಳಿಂದ ಸಹ ಇದು ಆಗ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು, 6 ತಿಂಗಳಿನ ಹಿಂದೆ ಇದು ಆಗಿದೆ, 1 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು. They've clearly said in that video. So I would implore you to watch the video again, and to have an able translator by your side.
Okay, all right. Bhavya, let me bring you in. The claims that Rashmi is making through the series of videos and evidences that she claims she has put on her timeline, because of which there has been an escalation of this particular case, and now this entire protest has spilled onto the streets. How do you see this entire investigation really going? And do you think because of this, there is going to be an impact on the investigation?
This is an issue of women's safety. I would like to repeat. This is an issue of women's safety, and let's just stick to that. And I honestly think those who are giving this a communal colors are very selfish, and they don't really care about either those girls in the who have been the survivors here, nor do they care about anyone. All they care about is giving this a communal color and using it for political benefit.
Okay.
Whether it's BJP or anyone who is spreading fake news with these tweets, even after their own party, Ms. Khushbu Sundar comes out and says that these are fake videos circulating. There was no camera there, but it was through the mobile phone, and none of the videos have been shared. If they want to blow this out of proportion, yes, what these girls did was totally wrong. They deserve to be taught a lesson. But giving us a communal color, that just shows to what extent they can use, anything for their politics. Whether it is a dead body, they want to give it a communal color and use it for their politics. BJP has a habit of doing this. And now they want to do this. But what about when they speak about this, they are saying, oh, majority, yes, because this has happened to Hindu women. Where are those wrestlers there who sat there against their own MP? Weren't they Hindus? Where are these activists and where were these BJP spokespersons when they spoke about sexual harassment by their own MP? Now, this is a school issue. Although the administration was responsible enough to, make sure to involve the police so that, this won't escalate, or even by, the videos, if it is not shared yet, what if it would have been shared in future? Yes, they have handed over the phone to the police. That was very responsible on their part, and police have sent her to FSL, Forensic Science Lab.
Yeah.
And after all of this, they just want to sit there and, okay, I would like to ask Rashmi, yes, someone has said that this was happening since 6 months and all of this. What were you doing for the past 6 months? It was happening. When you were speaking to the students, why did you do this 6 months ago? What was your government doing 6 months ago? Why couldn't you take action against this if this was happening since 6 months? What is the evidence that this was happening from since 6 months?
Okay.
These are
I
your
asked her
own
the
baby-
similar questions there, Bhavya. I would request you to get the audio link fixed because there is some issue with your audio. We'll get that re-established and I'll come back to you. Let me bring in Mr. B.S. Arun also on the broadcast. He's now with us, senior journalist who's also joined us for this debate. Mr. Arun, I'd like to first get your sense. So what do you make of this controversy that is playing out of Udupi? Of course, women's safety is an important aspect. It has to be dealt with an iron hand. And if at all it's coming in from a college campus, and this time we're talking about an all-girls college. This is a female campus that we're talking about. The perpetrators happen to be colleagues and fellow students who have filmed a video. The video has gotten into the authorities' hands. They have got the video deleted. The police has also come in because of the protest that the college has seen. And now it's the BJP stepping in, claiming that the religion of the girls, the three girls, is important. Look at that. They are from the minority community. Hence, there is a conspiracy behind this video. What do you say about this?
Well, this is a very, very serious issue. The women's safety is involved here. And this happening in a women's college also is an important topic here. But what is the striking feature of this entire episode is that there are so many contradictions. And, the police action also, which have come into question. Number one, there has been a delay in the police taking action.
Yes.
The issue of management to delete the video, that amounts to, sort of interfering in the investigation process. The mobiles have been handed over to the police, and police say they are investigating. It seems the police, there was a delay in police registering the FIR, and it seems there have been no interrogation so far by the police in this issue. So these are this, and in addition to this, the Home Minister gives a statement like saying, this is very childish. This has been made for fun. These sort of statements coming from a responsible minister, a Home Minister of the state, I think is also very. This should not have happened. The Home Minister should have taken this in all seriousness, got into the bottom of the issue, and then if there is no video or nobody is involved, then that's a different matter. But investigate it properly. Don't bring either communal issues or don't bring any party-related matter. This is not a BJP versus Congress issue, nor is this communal and secular issue. This has to be investigated thoroughly, by the state police without any partiality involved for any community. I think that is what we need right now.
Right. B.S. Arun, I'd like to ask one more question to you because I'm told by my team that you need to leave for someplace else. I'd like to also understand this entire lapse by the police to not press the investigation as soon as the instance was reported to them has been a big lapse that you're claiming. Do you think that is the reason and that is the buffer that's been used by members of the Bharatiya Janata Party to spill out those protests onto the street and make this entire matter communal?
Possibly because, this is sort of an issue that they have lapped it up. It's been given on a platter. I can't understand when there is an issue, which involves the safety of the students, the two women students. Why should the police be, show laxity in this matter? They are our children, whether they belong to one community or the other. Their safety is important. Their the environment in which they learn, in which they go to the school is important.
Totally.
And this shows the kind of attention that we give to our education system itself and to the children. And the state government should have exhibited more alacrity.
Okay. So on that note, let me actually ask this to Prashant GS. Mr. Arun, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Prashant, this is the accusation that's been leveled against the Bharatiya Janata Party. Even if you are standing for the right, even if you're standing for female safety in the state of Karnataka, for women's safety in Karnataka, the point that you are pressing on is the religion of the other three girls. Don't you think that's double standards?
Firstly, you have to understand that what has happened with the college students is entirely wrong, and probably it will send a very wrong message to society. Probably we should say, all of us, irrespective of parties, first must admit that as a society, we have failed the girl child in providing safety, that there is no two things about it. Politics being kept aside for this moment. Now, it is really shameful that how the Congress spokesperson went on to say Bharatiya Janata Party is involved, or what they did when some other persons complained on a different member of parliament. It is Congress who is politicizing this. Look at what has happened now. The students who filmed it, they termed it as a prank. And the Congress Home Minister has got the audacity to say it's child's play. Tell me, which student who's 21 years old would you admit that they would do this type of ghastly activities for fun? Is it even believable? So therefore, the Home Minister's statement to say that it was fun is irrational, irresponsible statement. One. Two, the college management should not have taken law into their own hands by saying, we have deleted the evidence and the victim has sought apology, or probably the accused has given an apology to the accused. This is not how it works. The accused cannot give an apology to the victim and say, look, sorry, I have done this in a prank. It is not possible like that. That is on one side of it. And it is really shameful that Congress is indulging in this. And the lapse of the police in taking up and conducting a proper investigation. What stopped them? The incident happened on 18th and the students' protest happened on 20th. Police kept quiet. Now they're wanting to retrieve some data from a deleted mobile phone, which college management feels that they've deleted. And apparently, some of the news channels in Kannada also reporting that the chief of the college there has made the accused to write some apology letter saying, I will not repeat this mistake again 5 times or 10 times. Is this a sort of apology you're expecting? First of all, they have to be schooled in what is right and what is wrong. And the college management is equally responsible for what's gone wrong now. And there are allegations floating around. I am using the word allegations. So beware, there are allegations floating around that a banned extremist organization is behind doing all these things. There are allegations floating around. So therefore, it is only the request of the Bharatiya Janata Party that a thorough investigation to be carried out in a fair and transparent way.
You know, what I asked you earlier, you are in fact, you're just proving that point by just putting that thing out there where you're saying that there are allegations floating around that there is an extremist organization that is involved in this incident. Just making a blanket statement like this and broad stroking it, you're again communalizing it. I actually asked you about the exact I asked you exactly about this in the beginning, and this is what you said. So far the points that you've made are well taken. It's absolutely for safety and security of women, whether it's inside college campus or whether it is on the streets of Karnataka, and it needs to be brought to the public. But why go ahead and bring out this conjecture where there is no backing to this claim and make these conspiracy theories? Because even the police, Prashant, because even the police is saying that they do not have any evidence and they would want people to come out with whatever little evidence that they have so that this can help them in the probe. Of course, the lapse of the police has already been established. But even the police is saying that. In fact, if you're missing the point that the video, which is now deleted, there is another video that's doing the rounds, which is being claimed that this is a Udupi video, which apparently is from Tamil Nadu. It's a fake video that was doing the rounds on social media. The police had to go on record and say that please stop spreading fake news. What did the BJP do about that? There are many social media handles which are associated with the Bharatiya Janata Party that were actually peddling that very video. You guys have gone ahead and revealed the identity of the 3 girls who are accused in this case.
My point was exactly what you are making, saying that the allegations floating around also have to be looked at from that point that the police has to investigate, because the Congress government may not allow a fair and transparent probe by the police. It has to be thoroughly investigated. Police must be given a free hand. If police feel that the state government will not allow them to have a fair probe, probably a different agency should probe into it. We are at no point in time supporting or abetting saying that, giving it a communal angle. Definitely it's not, because ultimately we are talking about safety of our sisters, daughters, mothers, and the women folk. Definitely, we are not that insensitive to say that we are communalizing the issue, but the probe has to be take place from all angles, and all conspiracy theories have to be laid to rest before a concrete step is taken. Because ultimately, how the children are going to get shaped up in the society and how people will look at these incidents will have a bearing on how the children are brought up. So definitely this incident cannot be taken in isolation. And I also will endorse Rashmi's view that if people are coming forward and making these statements that there have been instances where in the past that these have taken place, they have to be taken at face value and thorough investigations to happen. You cannot now ask the girls to produce proof of it. First of all, imagine what they would have gone through when these particular acts have occurred, and they have taken immense courage to come out and speak in the public. That shows that they are wanting to ensure that other colleagues.
Prashant, quickly, before I go back to Bhavya, this very point that you're making, Rashmi, there is some problem with that link, so I can't go to Rashmi at the moment. But has Rashmi really, or anybody else, any of the stakeholders who are claiming that the rights of women are sacrosanct and we are fighting for the rights of women, let's take it at face value, have you even bothered to go to the police? Because the claims that were made through these videos were that the girls were allegedly trying to take their own lives because they were so scarred because of the instance. Did you take it up? Because the police is wanting these evidences and they have none.
Griha, is it to me?
Yes.
Griha, is it to me?
Yes, Prashant, please go ahead. Yes.
See, it's not about what we have taken or what we have left off. No. You've just heard from Rashmi that students have probably come forward and spoken to probably her and informed her, because probably when she has championed the cause of them and brought out this ordeal of fellow students, probably people would have felt it safe that we should discuss it or bring it out in open so that justice ultimately is delivered to them.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying, Prashant.
And the perpetrators of the crime,
probably if these girls have reached Rashmi,
they have to be thoroughly
Prashant,
investigated.
The word that you're using, Prashant, let me come in here.
Investigated and punished.
The word that you're using before each and every sentence is probably. If the girls have actually come to, let's say, Rashmi Samant, was that information shared with the police?
Because Rashmi is not on the show.
Yes, we are trying to get her back, but I really want to understand that, because you guys are claiming those very claims that have been made by Rashmi. Yes, Bhavya, I'll want you to come in here. There's an important aspect that the Karnataka BJP and the Bharatiya Janata Party in general is making, is that there was an attempt by the Congress party, especially the Home Minister of the state, to make light of this entire situation, calling this a fun prank. And that was something that was totally uncalled for. How do you respond to that?
You know, this irresponsible, useless BJP people need to understand that what happened in Manipur.
First explain your Home Minister's statement.
If you can please make your point, Bhavya, without getting personal, I would really request you to do that. Bhavya, please let's not get personal.
Can lead to communal tension.
Griha, let Bhavya first answer whether she endorses the Home Minister's view.
I was quiet when you spoke. Have some decency.
All right. Bhavya, I request you to please not make personal comments. Please go and make your point. One second, Prashant.
We are talking about women
rights. Let her make a point.
Do you agree with your Home Minister's statement?
Prashant, let her respond first. Yes, Bhavya.
Give me 5 seconds.
No, I asked her just exactly that. I asked her exactly that. Let her respond.
What they're doing here. They know what they're doing here. They don't want to respond because they.
No, Bhavya, please answer. Please answer.
They're creating communal tension.
No,
we saw how
I asked you something else.
Bhavya, of fake news.
Bhavya, I asked you something else.
We are warning.
Can I come in here, Bhavya? Even would you be able to listen to my question first before starting to respond to it? I am wanting to understand that the allegation that the BJP is making, and of course there is a statement by the Home Minister of the state on record where he has ended up calling this instance a fun prank, and it should have been a matter that should have been resolved within the college campus. Do you think it was a statement not befitting of the Home Minister in the state, and that should not have come because there's a serious allegation at play here and there is women's safety that is involved? And of course, adding to the question that Prashant wanted to ask you, do you endorse the statement that's come in by way of the Home Minister?
Context to how the BJP is trying to paint a communal color to this. In context to that, he wanted to say this happened in a college and this has nothing to do with this communal color they are painting. But it's not like we are taking it light or anything. The girl was refusing to file a complaint against her peers, her classmates. That was the reason the police could not take action against them. Administration themselves,
the police have got every power to show more to file a case and then investigate all the 3 girls. Just because the Home Minister says it's a prank does not end the matter there. Bhavya, be sensitive to your fellow women folks. Do you endorse the Home Minister's statement that it is a fun prank? Do you endorse that statement? Do you think it was a fun act?
That is going to cost a lot.
Do you really can call it as a fun act? Before even getting on to BJP, first admit that are you admitting that it was a fun prank?
Prashant and Bhavya, let's not make this into a shouting match. One second, Bhavya. One second. Prashant, the whole point that Bhavya is also trying to make here is, and they are sticking to this communal angle, I would like to understand, has this gone against the BJP? Even if you're standing for the right, this is one aspect that is totally going against you, where you are on the one hand talking about women's safety and then you are putting the three girls of the Muslim community on a pedestal and showing them to the world that these are the perpetrators because they belong to the Muslim community. Of course, this is going to go against them, against you.
Griha, definitely in this ghastly incident, we are not looking at any political mileage when it is dealing with safety of women folk. Unlike the Congress, which wants to capitalize everything, we are not looking to capitalize. We are not, don't even want to.
Understand this one aspect, Prashant.
We losing a particular battle
this one aspect.
and the women folk winning it.
Understand this one aspect. The most important and a crucial aspect is that the victim and the victim's family refused to file a complaint with the police. So there was nothing left with the police. They had to suo motu file an FIR against the girls, the three girls and the college authorities. And that's where the catch is. And that is why the investigation possibly is taking that much of a time, because there's no pressing of charges. And that is what I'd want to underline here while I put an end to this debate on the Udupi story. I'd like to thank all my guests for joining me. That's all the time that I had on the debate, but right now I'm slipping into a very, very short break. Up next, we are going to be talking about how China has ended up provoking India once again over Arunachal Pradesh. And the issue is with stapled visas to Arunachal Pradesh athletes, and this of course has prompted India to withdraw from the World University Games. We are debating that after a short break.
सर एक अनिलू तेगा,
हाँ,
नेपुंग लम्बू और नेमन वांगशु, ये तीनों प्लेयर्स, हाँ जी, ये तीनों प्लेयर्स हमारे अरुणाचल प्रदेश ईटानगर से बिलोंग करते हैं और ये राष्ट्रीय रक्षा यूनिवर्सिटी गांधीनगर गुजरात के स्टूडेंट्स हैं सर.
Joining us on the talking point this evening here on Brass Tacks, GVL Narasimha Rao is Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament of the BJP. Adil Singh Bopara is spokesperson of the Congress, will be joining us. Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist, and Nalin Mehta is group consulting editor with Network 18. GVL Narasimha Rao, so the Prime Minister referring to the Red Diary, saying that if the Red Diary is open, then big names in the Congress will fall, etc. We don't know where this Red Diary is, leave alone what the contents of it are. So the opposition is asking, why bring in this? On what basis is the Prime Minister talking about big names in the Congress falling if the Red Diary is open? And also, please respond to the criticism that if he can go to Rajasthan and campaign, why can't he come to Parliament and make a statement on Manipur? That's what the opposition is asking.
Yeah, Zaka, on Red Diaries, I think the Prime Minister's observations or his comments in the speech have rattled whom it is really intended for. Ashok Gehlot, Chief Minister of Rajasthan, responded rather very worriedly. And it seems Red Diaries are a matter of folklore in Rajasthan, and a lot of people possibly know that what exists in these diaries. So obviously, while I am not privy to the contents of these Red Diaries, they are known to be they are known to have a lot of evidence against corruption by the ministers and the Chief Minister of Rajasthan, and otherwise a reference of this kind, Chief Minister, there was no need for him to react wildly the way he has reacted, number one. Number two, about statements, the Prime Minister has been speaking on many occasions in the past few days. He has been present in Parliament. He attended some meetings. He actually spoke to the media on the eve of the Parliament session. And he was at a major function in inaugurating a massive convention hall in Pragati Maidan yesterday. So Pradhan Mantri will speak in Parliament whenever he is required to, because there is a no confidence motion that that a foolish opposition has already mooted in Parliament, in Lok Sabha, and certainly it is the Prime Minister who will respond, who will reply at the end of the debate on no confidence motion. Why are they having any butterflies in the stomach? Let them wait. They will get their stomach full.
Rashid Kidwai, first of all, this Red Diary was brought to light by one of the Congress's own ministers, somebody who was a minister up until a few weeks ago, Mr. Rajendra Guda. minister in the Ashok Gehlot cabinet. So the Congress needs to fix its house in order before it points fingers at the BJP or at the Prime Minister. And more importantly, he's also turned the tables on the India alliance and coined or come up with this coinage of quit India. Corruption must quit India, dynastic politics must quit India, and a bunch of corrupt parties, according to the Prime Minister, have come together and changed their name. आपके नाम बदलने से काले करतूत बदलते नहीं है.
Zaka, my friend G.B.L. Narasimha Rao knows, and perhaps he didn't say this. See, in the Jain Hawala famous the diary case, the court of law said diary is not admissible as evidence. This is very well known, a very high power, high profile case was there. L.K. Advani and several others, they actually suffered politically because P.V. Narasimha Rao had brought in this Jain diary case, and he had implicated a lot of his people of his own party and opposition in 1996, and nothing came out. So the diary has a very poor checkered record. So the Prime Minister to flash a diary, I think it's something that's that reflects rather poorly on somebody who's head of the administration of the country. We know corruption is a very disturbing trend. We also know that. See, when I heard Prime Minister speak, I thought, Zaka, you're playing some speech which was, was there in 2014-13, that time when, he was a Prime Ministerial candidate. It's been 9 years. I don't have to take names, whether it is, Modi or Lalit Modi or Chokse and so many others. What is preventing Prime Minister from, getting this, all the fugitives and economic offenders? Some people say 33, some say 72, whatever number. What is preventing him from acting? What is preventing ED, CBI, if there is a,
No, but Rashid, the problem is the opposition, when ED and CBI act against so-called alleged corrupt leaders, then the opposition says they are being misused. They are being used as instruments. No, one second. You can't have it both ways. On the one side, you say they are being used as instruments to attack the opposition. On the other side, you are saying why doesn't he use those agencies to get these fellows back?
Is Prime Minister accountable to the country or to Constitution or to the opposition? Why I gave you so many names of this, this fugitives and all. Why is he not acted against them? What is preventing him? Is it because of opposition that government is not acting against Modi or Chokse?
Okay. So, Nalin Mehta, the other point that he made was, and he said this at the start of Parliament as well in the context of Manipur, saying, crimes against women should be unacceptable, whether they happen in Manipur, whether they happen in Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, wherever it is. And today, he reiterated that as well. And Rajasthan, by the way, has the record of being one of the most infamous when it comes to crimes against women. I think the NCRB data is, as of last year, 2020.
Welcome back. You're watching Viewpoint with me, Griha. India has withdrawn its 8-athlete wushu or martial arts contingent from the Summer World University Games that are happening in Chengdu after China issued stapled visas to 3 athletes from the team who belong to Arunachal Pradesh. Now, a stapled visa is simply an unstamped piece of paper that is attached by a pin or staples to a page of the passport and can be torn off or detached at will. This, of course, is different from a regular visa that is affixed to the passport by the issuing authority and then stamped. Now, China has been doing it for a while now when granting visas to Indian nationals from both the state of Arunachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. So, why does China do it? Now, it is because China disputes India's unequivocal and internationally accepted sovereignty over Arunachal Pradesh. It challenges the legal status of the McMahon Line, or the boundary between Tibet and British India that was agreed at the meet between Great Britain, China and Tibet at the Simla Convention in the year 1940. It is this disagreement essentially that lies at the heart of the Chinese claim over the position of the line of the actual control and its repeated transgressions into the Indian territory. Remember, this latest incident is also close to the heels of the Prime Minister Modi meeting his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in Bali last year, which the Chinese in fact go on to claim had the leaders discussing about the border standoff, something that has not been backed by India.
ने वीजा ही नहीं दिया था।
3 लोगों पे ही ऑब्जेक्शन लिया जो अरुणाचल प्रदेश से।
ये 3 लोग ही है सर, जो अरुणाचल प्रदेश के हमारे बच्चे हैं, तीनों बच्चे। हमारे ये 5 प्लेयर जिन्होंने बहुत मेहनत की है, मेडल लेके आए, हम चाहते हैं कि ये लोग तो जाए।
We are from Arunachal. 3 people are from Arunachal Pradesh, so we apply our visa for our World University Games, but we got staple visa. We were hoping that we will get visa, but fortunately we couldn't get our visa.
This is unacceptable, and we have lodged our strong protest with the Chinese side, reiterating our consistent position on the matter.
Prime Minister Modi has softened the stand with China. Therefore, only we are in a backup wicket. Now they can give staple visa to our Arunachal friends. Arunachal is part of India, and the government should be very strong in dealing with Chinese on this thing.
Let's first begin by getting you an overview of China's position on Arunachal Pradesh and its campaign when it comes to the state of Arunachal Pradesh. Now, China has, of course, disputed the sovereignty that India has over Arunachal Pradesh, and that's the key point that we are looking at as China, in fact, goes on to claim that 90,000 square kilometers of Arunachal Pradesh is, in fact, Chinese territory. That is the claim that China has made. It also goes on to challenge the legal status of the McMahon Line, like I just mentioned. Further, China has called the area Zhangyan with reference to South Tibet. That is also an important aspect. Now, this is the state-run Chinese media that has been beginning to do this since the year 2005. In fact, the Chinese signaled their intention by refusing to give a visa to an Indian government official who was serving in Arunachal Pradesh in the late 2006, and that's when it all started. The Chinese maps also show Arunachal Pradesh as part of China. That's another major and a grave problem. If we go further, China has repeatedly issued Chinese names for places inside the territory, the Indian territory, and inside Arunachal Pradesh. In 2011, in fact, if we go further and take a look at what happened when this staple visa issue really started from 2006 onwards, this is not a new tactic. And despite the fact that Indian government's position has been that there should be no discrimination against the visa applicants of Indian nationality on grounds of domicile and ethnicity, and this has been clearly conveyed to the Chinese government on several occasions, yes, yet these instances continue to happen. So we go back to 2011, where 5 karate athletes from Arunachal Pradesh were issued staple visa. That was instance number 1. Then later in 2013, 2 archers from Arunachal Pradesh were again issued staple visa. And later, if we take a look at 2016, the manager of the badminton team from Arunachal was in fact denied the visa altogether. So all of these instances have been happening, and this latest one has been another instance which has led the authorities to take a very, very tough stance against China and decide that the entire Indian contingent will keep away from that competition. Let me now open this up to my guests who are on the broadcast. Wing Commander Abhishek Mathiman, who's a former spokesperson of the Ministry of Defence, is with us, and also with us is Andrew KP Long, who's a Chinese expert, and last but not the least, security analyst Mr. Pathikrit Payne also joins us. Wing Commander Mathiman, I first would want to begin with you, because I just listed out these various instances, something that has been repeatedly happening from the Chinese side of granting staple visas to either athletes or people from Arunachal Pradesh. And this has been continuing since the year 2006. The stance that we are seeing the Indian government take at the moment when it comes to withdrawing this entire Indian contingent from the tournament altogether, how do you see it?
See, of late, last couple of decades or so, looking at the way that the Chinese have tried and actually propelled themselves to a position of power, it's now globally known that Chinese policy is essentially domination through belligerence. Now, unfortunately for us, we share our largest land border with them, which had been arrived upon when the Britishers were ruling India, and is popularly known as the McMahon Line. There have been disputes not only in Arunachal Pradesh. There's been dispute over eastern Ladakh.
Aksai Chin, and other parts too.
Yes.
So what has happened is we see the stapled visa per se isn't something great, but what needs to be understood in the context is when the stakes are very high, be it political or on the economic front or militarily, when the stakes are high, you need to tread a cautious path. That is the main impediment in the as far as India is concerned. For that matter, other nations too. Be it defiance of freedom of navigation in the South China Sea, or grabbing of island territories in its neighboring small nations, or the ongoing problem and a standoff, military standoff with India. It's globally known and people recognize. It's only a matter of time when actually they pay for what they do. Having said that, this particular thing of giving stapled visa essentially means what they actually do is they instead of pasting the visa on the passports of these Arunachali citizens who belong to the sovereign nation of India, what they do is they clip it up with the passport and stamp it there. So it is actually only a pressure tactic to show that they don't consider Arunachal Pradesh as a part of sovereign Indian territory.
Absolutely, and that is what the key point is, Wing Commander Batiman, because you know that is what the bone of contention has been, and ever since 2006 it's been continuing. Like I also presented a series of graphic pointers and also the aspects of when all the Arunachali athletes were denied a normal visa and they were given the staple visa. One instance also claims that one particular coach was denied a visa from the Chinese authorities altogether. But the points that you were making, let me actually bring in Mr. Long here, who's also with us from China. Mr. Long, you know, there was a statement that was released by the Chinese Foreign Ministry over the Indian Prime Minister and his Chinese counterparts' visit in Bali, how they had exchanged dialogues and deliberations upon what the India-China border standoff is at its moment right now and what needs to be done when it is about bettering the situation. That was the claim that was made by the Chinese authorities. That sort of a communique hasn't really been backed by India. After having put that out, then you go ahead and still continue with this trend that you've started in 2006 by giving stapled visas to athletes or people from Arunachal Pradesh, essentially saying that you don't recognize Arunachal Pradesh as has been internationally recognized to be a part of India. How does one see this move back home here in the country?
Well, the disputes over that territory has had a long history. It all dates back to India pre-independence India at the time of the when the British Empire caused arbitrarily divided the territory that in that area into India and Pakistan, and also part of the territory which used to belong to mainland China. And China has been very consistent in maintaining its claimed national sovereignty over that area. As you rightly pointed out at the beginning of this program, this is not the first time when stamped visas are issued. And so China is unlikely to back down on that. And of course, territorial disputes are the major thing that's standing between India and China, because there are lots of areas where the two countries need to cooperate on one another as regards to the third world, as regards to climate change and all that. But territorial disputes are now seem to be tearing these two countries apart, which is quite a pity. But as far as these Arunachal Pradesh is concerned, China has been very consistent and cannot be seen to be backed down. And that's what's happening. And I think that this is a new normal.
Okay. All right, Patikrit, you know, our member from the Chinese side really goes on to say this is the new normal. And the Indian side has been seeing this, like I repeatedly am pointing out, since the year 2006. When is that time that we draw that line, that any kind of artistic or even sports exchanges stop? if at all there is this new normal, that the recognition of Arunachal Pradesh as being part of India is going to be questioned time and again by the Chinese? How do you see the relations really prospering when it is about India and China? This is going to continue.
Look, the dichotomy here for China is that they're trying to push this narrative that okay, we can do whatever we want in the borders, but let's have other businesses as usual. I think India has called off that bluff. So this time the contingent is not going, which is a very welcome step on part of government of India. See the desperation at the same time on the part of the Chinese to invest in the Indian market. There's a company called Bide which wanted to invest $1 billion in the electric vehicle category in India. Government of India said no. So the problem with China is this, that they have border with 12 to 13 countries and they have territorial disputes with more than 20 countries. So the whole belligerence they do, first of all, most of the borders, we have, these issues that they're talking about. We have a border with Tibet, which was not part of China before 1949. And let's be very clear about it. So the 5 fingers of Tibet policy that Mao Zedong brought in after annexation of Tibet, the issue of problems they're creating are as part of the 5 fingers of Tibet policy, under which they are creating problem in Ladakh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh. So, the issue is from 2020 onwards, when the Galwan issue they started, they presumed that the COVID and everything else that would follow, India will wither away. It did not happen that way. India emerged in spite of several challenges that we had and we still have. We have emerged as the 5th largest economy of the world. So perhaps we are the only country whom they could not pin down with all their threats and psychological warfare. So yes, it's business as usual. There are areas of convergence with China. They would have on BRICS, there are collaborations. But when it comes to issues like this, India would call the bluff, and we will not go anywhere where they issue these staple visas. We will not go. So the government has withdrawn the contingent for this game. So Chinese concept is this: let us do these transgressions in the borders with India, but let's have business with India at the same time. Please understand, the Chinese, with due respect, must understand these two countries have to stay together. You have a huge balance of export surplus with us, with the amount of export you do to India. So you have to respect the Indian market as well. You cannot be that for the sake of business you will have Indian market, and at the same time for everything else you will try to pin us down. This India has changed, and this is not going to accept. This is not going to be acceptable in near future. So I think, Griha, we have taken a right step in terms of withdrawing, and I think you will have more clear steps taken in the forward. Business-wise, not allowing Bide for this electric vehicle investment is a great thing. We are showing to the world we are not desperate for investments. If you want to invest in the Indian economy, you must respect the Indian sovereignty. Talks are going on. Still, they want to have the staple visas. They can issue staple visas if they want. We will do what we find it good to do, whether it's on the economic
this point
or it's
that
about
Pathikrit is making, Wing Commander Matiman, I'd need your inputs on this. Do you think, and if the question is on the Indian authorities, do you think the Indian authorities are completely ready to have that blanket ban on China, whether it is vis-a-vis business or whether with this vis-a-vis the sporting activities? And while you answer that, I'd like to also understand what happens to the sportspersons, because in this case, this entire Indian contingent was preparing for this tournament for the last 2 years. What happens to the morale of the sports people? Because this stance, the toughening of stance, needed to have been done before. Why allow the Indian athletes to go to China? And, if you are toughening your stance, why wait for each and every occasion for the Chinese to go ahead and issue stapled visas, and then this sort of a response by the Indian side?
See, Griya, essentially what we need to do is, when it comes to China, we need to look at the broader perspective.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, the stakes are higher. So the line we tread has to be a cautious line, striking a balance. We cannot, as you said, we cannot just ban things vis-a-vis China. What we need to do is, when we not give so much of importance to these little niggling activities. After all, practically, it doesn't really affect morally or politically. Of course, it's a pressure tactic. But of late, the line that the government of India has been towing, whether it be vis-a-vis Pakistan or be it China, I am glad to see that we are no more mixing things up. It is not that terrorism and cricket can go hand in hand as it used to earlier. And similarly, a border standoff and business as usual is not the thing, is a thing of the past actually. So looking at the new India, what we need to do is, while withstanding these pressure tactics, we need to explore our strong points and explore those what we can make the best use of. What's more important is these little things which like this, for example, the staple visa. The only intent behind it is not to recognize Arunachal Pradesh citizens as Indian citizens.
Yes.
Our counter to that is the way actually we are dealing with it. It's going to be on the diplomatic front. We are to, in the long run, get home the message, put across the message very firmly and strongly that we are no pushovers. They might try and succeed in the belligerence with smaller nations, which they have been doing similar things, but definitely not India. India is a force to reckon with. We are looking at being the third largest economy in probably a decade hence. So we need to drive home the point, and that's precisely what we are doing, I think, just the right way.
So, Wing Commander Mathaman, you're essentially saying that obviously diplomacy needs to reign supreme, and when it is about the China situation vis-a-vis India, China is certainly no Pakistan. And there needs to be a give and take that needs to happen constantly, whether it is on a business perspective or on a sporting federation. That cannot be stopped. Is that what you're saying? Because if that is the case, then these statements that have been made by the Ministry of External Affairs over this instance, these tend to be a mere lip service. And I understand that's not how diplomacy works, but when there is a toughening of stance and then there is also this measure of diplomacy that needs to be taken into account, how do we balance things?
See, we don't need to get very sentimental about how the sportspersons preparing for an event would be feeling right now at this particular juncture. What I said was we are to look at the larger perspective and where the national interest lies. Arunachal Pradesh residents remain as much a part of India as they were before being issued stapled visas. The way ahead is this. What MEA essentially is doing is taking the diplomatic path and following SOPs as are stated and what is in the best interest of the two nations. Because there is no, I say again, there is no direct impact of the issue of staple visas. We have expressed ourselves very clearly and curtly in having cancelled the trip that we don't accept what you try to thrust upon us. So that is the way to go. And probably wishing everyone well. China will need to relent at some point of time because we cannot. What is right, we have to stand by it and hold our own in the long run.
Mr. Long, let me bring you in here. 227 Indians are really participating. These are athletes who are participating in 11 other sports events at the games that have been held every 2 years in China. Do you think if instances like this are going to happen and they will of course reach the normal Indian public, there is going to be that sense of retaliation and that disgruntlement from the Indian side? So these relationships that China speaks on the basis of its relation with India, how far do you see that really going when you have constantly these hiccups that continue to arrive at?
As I said, Griha, the Chinese will have to relent. They'll have to give concessions, if not for anyone else, at least
this question
for
is
India,
for Mr. Long.
which
Mr. Long.
I firmly believe we are not.
Mr. Andrew Long. Mr. Andrew, are you able to?
Are you asking me?
Yes. Yes.
Are you asking me?
Yes, Mr. Long.
Thank
Please
you.
go ahead.
Well, yes. Well, China is not banning athletes from other Indian provinces.
Okay.
It's just this Arunachal Pradesh, which is of course has been long in dispute as far as China is concerned. And I don't think that China is likely to back down on that, as I said. But I think that there are many areas where the two countries need to cooperate with one another.
My question to you is, can these nudgings not be avoided? Can these nudgings not be avoided, sir?
Well, but the unfortunate thing is that if both sides are seeking a winner-takes-all solution, a black and white solution, I don't think that this ideal solution is anywhere near. So in the meantime, I think both sides need to build up trust and also talk around the issue rather than demanding the other side back down, and finding out whether there is other formulas which can save the position on both sides. But as I said, this kind of visa problem applies only to areas in dispute, like the Arunachal Pradesh. And of course, the cooperation on sports and other areas is most welcome, is most positive on both sides. And when both sides continue to build up areas of cooperation, then
but now the contingent is not coming, sir. So are you good with that? The Indian contingent is not coming. So are you okay with that?
Sorry?
I'm saying that the Indian contingent is not coming now. So are you okay with that stance that India has taken? Because if this is the nudging that is going to continue from the Chinese side, of course, this is the kind of retaliation that you would have to see from Indian side as well.
Well, okay. I mean, of course, territorial integrity is extremely important on both sides. And I said China is unlikely to sacrifice this important issue just on account of sports.
All right. All right, on that note, I'd have to wrap it up there. Thank you so much, all my guests, for joining me on the broadcast. This situation, although short-lived, let's see how much of a talk does it continue to have, and that resonance really, border high on the India and China border equation that has only continued to deteriorate with every passing day. With that, it's a wrap from my side on Viewpoint. My colleague Toya is up next with Plain Speak.
Feel that this survey will clinch for the Hindu side the fact that this temple was indeed raised, of course, as per historical records too, and a mosque was built over it. Is that the game set match here?
इंडियन नेशनल डेवलपमेंटल इंक्लूसिव अलायंस का पर्याय हिंदी में सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका प्रयास, सबका विश्वास है। क्या सही मायने में आपकी अलायंस भारत के हित के लिए बनी है कि स्वहित के लिए बनी है?
Ask the Home Minister, ask the Prime Minister the tough questions on what they did and did not do in Manipur. But instead, you are lending the government an opportunity to claim that it's not them who's running away from